Hey guys, what up? Ryuwolves here. And today guys, I'm going to be taking you guys through one of my maps, and we are going to be going over everything you need to know in order to Deathruns in Fortnite. Now without further ado, let's get into it. So as you all should know by now, whenever you guys get into a Deathrun, most Deathruns are going to be full of, unique different levels. They're going to have levels like spike levels, we're going to have impulse levels, we're going to have momentum levels, we're going to have a lot of different levels that you can do. So the thing about doing Deathruns, guys, is about usually there's an objective that we have to usually do, and that objective is usually about getting to the end of a map. And yeah, pretty much every single time you do an objective for a Deathrun, it is usually 1 through 100, 1 through 10, 1 through 50, 1 through 1,000 levels, and your objective is to actually make it all the way to the end of the Deathrun. Now, some Deathruns can actually be very, very challenging. You can have a lot of different stages and a lot of different unique challenges along the way. Every single time you do a Deathrun, it's never going to always be the same. So you kind of need to start figuring out how to learn how to do them properly, so that when you go into a Deathrun in the future, you already know everything you basically need to know in order to do them properly. This Deathrun, Deathrun we are currently on is one that I created, just a very, very simple Deathrun. It's going to show just basically spike tunnels, and that's going to be basically it for this one. I'm going to go through this tunnel and everything, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how you do spike tunnels, the floors, the sides, the top of the ceiling, and everything. I'm just going to go over everything and kind of explain to you guys how you properly do spikes in a Deathrun. Now, for most of you guys that usually hop into a Deathrun, you're probably so quick to just hop out or to do a quick bait. There are a couple ways of baiting traps. One that I just did just now. There are numerous ways of baiting traps, guys, and you guys should know all of them when you start doing Deathruns. The first one is baiting a trap. So how do we bait a trap exactly? Well, it's quite simple, guys. You see this little basically darker color shade right here between like a lighter orange. So you have this orange line, kind of a darker gray line, and then you have this color on the inside where the spikes are. The way I basically teach people how to do this is when you look at the floor and you look at your right foot, put your foot basically where the darkness is of the first part of the trap. Take note, the trap hasn't activated. If we step out of the way and step back in, trap hasn't activated. Well, the trap will not activate, guys, until your right foot has now entered the inside of that line. So in other words, there's that fine line that my cursor is going across. You need to put your foot on the inside of that line. So once you sidestep in and pull out, it's going to activate the trap. Floor traps will only activate once your leg has crossed and into the actual flat surface. So as it passes this line, that is when the trap will activate. Now, if let's say we go ahead and move into that line and then we don't take our foot out, what happens? We instantly die. So once again, we will die every single time my body is touching the inside of that line. So if I put my leg a little bit further in, let's say about like right here, notice how my leg is pretty much on this line. If I step over to this side, it still hasn't activated. I step over a little bit more, keep going. Notice how my foot has just barely touched this, the tip. It's barely at the, you can look straight down and you can kind of see, oh, there we go. So the moment the toe reaches that line, that is when the bottom ones will activate every single time. So now that we have that figured out, and now we know when it baits, there's a couple ways of baiting a trap. One is just to do a quick sidestep out and sidestep back. As you can see, if we keep this momentum going and just baiting, we can literally walk sideways and watching as our foot sidesteps out and then in. So we go right, then back. Then we go right again, and then back. And you can pretty much see as my foot goes through, passes the line, and then goes back. That is pretty much all you need to do, guys, in order to bait a trap. Is just pay attention to that fine line right there. And that is how you can easily get through all those spikes without ever any issue. Now, we're going to do the same thing again, but this time we're going to be doing it a little different. Most players will be doing a little bit of a run up, and then they'll back off of it. Most people will continue that run up. Take note, the only difference between this one is that you're actually seeing your body go in to the line itself. You're actually seeing it cross and then backing up a couple steps, which allows you to get away from it just in time. So you do have this method. Now we're gonna go backwards a little bit, and I'm going to show you the alternative method. You can either do one of those two methods, or you can run at it, and if you're quick enough, you should be able to turn your screen and run away. The way that you can easily do this, guys, is basically if you're using mouse and keyboard, depending on which way you're deciding to run. If you're choosing to go right and then go out the right side, or if you're choosing to run to the left and running out leftward, it depends on which mouse click keys that you're using. Looking something like this. So if we look down here and we look at my fingers, you notice that we have right, left, back, and forward. And as I do this, I basically want to rotate like I'm doing right here to walk in and out. Now, granted, when you are doing those rotations and everything, you do need to also steer with your mouse at the same time as using your right and left keys to move around. So if you're on a controller, this is a little bit differently. On a controller, you have a little bit of a difference because you have your analog stick, and when you basically do the same thing, you're gonna basically be using this to steer and this to look. So when you're running at the trap and everything, you basically want to run at it and steer with this one, run and curve your character, so it basically does a quick rotation, not so fast that your rotation stops and you just stand still, but so like for example, when you're running, if you do a quick flick like this, your character literally stops and then the trap catches you and kills you. Whereas in this rotation, you have a nice clean little run, which allows you to maneuver really quickly, then to like do a quick turn, and then you're kind of stopped. You'll get the point in the future when you notice that when you start trying to do this, you'll probably, like, just like that. If you do a quick flick and then try to run, you're dead. So we try this again. A quick flick, and if we're fast enough, okay. So we'll do it again. So we'll do it a couple times so you guys can keep seeing. Each time you do a quick flick, if you try to turn around too fast, the rotation will fail. So in order to make a nice clean rotation, you guys just basically need to basically just do what I'm doing. Just a very nice clean run out, run in, run out, run out, run in, run out, basically. That would be the idea. So run in, run out, and basically just depending on how much you turn your character, that's it. It's really just going to come down to, because you really don't need to turn your character all that much. You just need to make sure that when you do make your rotation, just get your right foot and your body out of that actual line. Once you do that, you can turn right back around, facing the direction you need to go, and keep going through. So that's really all you need to do when you're baiting these type of traps. So now we're going to actually go back, and I'm going to show you again another method that you can use. Now that I have shown you guys how to do the sidestep, which would be the one to going out like that, the one that most players will use, which is just running up and baiting and walking backwards, and now that you finally have seen that you can run at an angle and basically do this, what is the difference between all three methods? All methods have different benefits for later on in a death run. The ones that use the side steps like this could be beneficial to other traps that we're going to be talking about very shortly. The ones that allow you to do this, they just allow you to keep a nice clean momentum going so that you can sidestep, basically just rotate really quickly and just keep moving. Where other ones like this that I just said, those are more for fast, real quick bait and go, so that you have a nice clean momentum that you're still going, where other one, which is backing up, isn't always the best choice. There are certain times where running forward, backing up helps, but it's not the fastest way of doing it. The next one we're going to be talking about is how to jump through a trap without activating the trap. So for some of you that are out there that have never tried this before, this is more of a, it's an advanced move, but it's more of a simple move as well. You really don't need to bait the traps. These traps will only activate if you step foot in them. So if I were to run and jump right here at this step, the trap will kill me, right? But what happens if I run and jump before it? As you can see, when I land about right here, allowing me to run off. So now let's try it again, but this time let's run and jump a little bit closer to it. Take note, when I did that the second time, it killed me. Why? Well, the way a trap works, guys, is very simple. Whenever you step foot onto a trap and then you jump over it, the trap is automatically going to catch. It's going to catch. It's going to act as if basically your foot is now in that circle, as in inside that fine line. So the fine line is that spot right here, guys. So when your body jumps, as you make a jump and your foot is now inside, I'm already inside. If I were to jump, it didn't activate. But when your foot, when you run at a trap, if you were too far back, so like for example, if I'm a little bit like, let's say, let's get a little bit closer and see. Note again, it's already killed me. So how do we actually just jump through traps? What is the goal? The goal is very simple. Jump before you get to this line. Before you get to the block right here. Once you see that line, so once you get about right there, just jump. And as you basically land, guys, you'll land sometimes here, you'll land here, sometimes you'll land even ahead of it. And that's all you gotta do. So just run, jump, you'll land, you'll run, you'll jump, you'll land, you'll run, you'll jump, and you'll land. And there you go. Now you guys have successfully completed all these in a row. Now, let's back up again and let's just see it in one clean motion. Now let's go back, all the way back this way, and try the same thing. Now this time, the only difference between this one and the last one is that we have spikes all in one straight shot. Now, how do you do this one? This one's no different. The moment you land, you guys need to continue jumping. So you'll run, jump, 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 keep jumping. And there you have it. That is all we had to do to get all the way back here. The traps will always be delayed, guys, when you jump over them if you jumped before the actual trap goes off. So, like always, you have a little bit of time to get away from the first trap. So if you guys jump just a little bit ahead of it each time, when you land, by the time you jump, your body will already be forward momentum heavy, meaning that by the time you jump off of that spike and jump over, the back spike will not catch your foot because your momentum will already be pushing you forward. So by the time you hit that spike, hit the spike on here, and then you jump, the spike is going up, but your body's already gone. It's now into the second one. So as long as you keep that momentum jump and then jump, jump, land method going, the traps won't catch you. So that is very much the very last method that you guys can use when doing this method in terms of baiting the floor traps. Now we're going to move on to the next step. The next step is wall spikes. In order to do wall spikes, guys, you need to understand how wall spikes work in comparison to the floor spikes. As we should know that the floor spikes activate when our legs, guys, reach inside of this fine line. So that fine line is when they activate. Now, when we get over here to this one, when do they activate? Take note, our arms and legs are about a little bit on this fine line right here. From what I've understood about spike traps on the walls, guys, is they activate when you put your when you basically put your right arm or your right foot within the same square as the trap itself. So let's try this again. Let's step out and look at our footing. Our footing is no longer on the inside of that line. Now let's put our right foot across, and there we have it. We put just all the way up to our big toe. That is when the side walls activate. Just get an idea of this, guys. Whenever you're doing the sides of a trap, just take note that the sides will always activate sooner than later, meaning that if you are doing, let's say, a floor with the top of the sides here, meaning sides with floor traps, the sides will always activate faster than the floors will. So let's go ahead and just go ahead and bait that. So as we do this, you guys can use the same method. You can also do a quick run and rotation. You guys can also do the quick run up and back up method. Whoa. And then, of course, yeah, pretty much that is going to be about it for this one. It's pretty much, guys, as simple. We run at it from a quick angle and step away. You can just really quickly do one or two methods. You can run up, side step out of the way, run up at it, and just quickly back up. You can walk up to the side of it like I just did in the beginning and just do a quick, nice, clean side step and step out. And using your side to just run, step out, and just keep facing the wall, which is a very easy way to do it. This is a very simple, you know, uncomplicated method of doing Deathruns. I would highly recommend that you guys practice doing each and every one of these styles until you get comfortable with each and every one, because each one will give you a better benefit later on in a Deathrun for the future when you're doing different types of Deathruns with very different, unique, different styles of traps. You will need to understand when they bait and when they don't bait. If you're just running through them randomly and trying to hope for the best, you're usually gonna get killed. So the best way to do it is practice each and individually one of these until you've figured out masterfully wise how to do each and every one of these. Once you've figured out how to do each and every one of these, move on to the next one that you're struggling with and keep learning how to do it until you can successfully run through a trap tunnel such like this and do it without any errors. Once you have a nice clean understanding of how to do this and you know how close you need to get before retreating and then going forward again, that's when you can move on to the next stage. I would highly recommend everybody take the time to truly understand these methods before you moving on to any further Deathruns. Now, as we get into the one more complicated Deathrun part 4, this one's going to teach you guys again from the sides to the floor. As we just did over in those over there, you're going to note when we get closer to this, I'm going to put my right foot kind of just barely in. Now note, I haven't even stepped into that line yet. I haven't even stepped right into this. This trap is already activated. The trap is activating, and now this isn't. Could I use the method of run, bait this, and then run, jump over, and then land, and then keep it going? No. The sides will always kill you before you can even do that. So don't attempt to do the run and jump method. Could you run and jump to get across the spike and land in between and then use the idea of baiting the sides and then jumping over? No. So that method would look like something like this. We will run, we'll bait that, we'll jump across like this, we'll bait basically that, and we'll jump over. To a theory, it does work, but it is not the safest way of doing that. You can try doing it if you guys so choose to do it. It's not the safest way to do it. It is a way you could do it, but I do not recommend using that method because there will be a lot of times in the future where you'll have different things that will be a little bit harder than that, and it's just not recommended. Now again, guys, when you're doing this, it's very, very simple. You can use the facing this direction. Step out, bait, step out, bait, bait. Notice how, like, when I step out, guys, I am still only facing one direction, and I'm basically just looking down at the ground. I'm basically keeping my eyes glued to where my right leg is so that I can basically see where it's at and when I'm pulling back. That really, guys, is all you need to do for the sides. The sides will always activate faster than the floor does. Now, if you guys do truly want to get the floor to activate with those, then you guys need to basically be really smooth with your running out. You just need to make sure that your right leg or part of your body is facing the ground. So basically, you need to run in and then run out kind of like a diagonal. So as you run in, make sure when you run out, you guys basically are doing a quick run at it and then turning around. You should see like the little dust in the background. You guys basically just want to make this nice clean rotation, and every single time you do this, you'll notice how the floor and the sides all activate at the same time every time. Now, granted, when you get into further trap tunnels in the future, you're going to notice that other trap tunnels are going to have ceilings. I'll get into that momentarily when we get there. The next stage we're going to have, guys, is going to be a curve. Curves are a little bit difficult for some people. This is no different from any other course that you're going to run into. Most courses are going to have a little bit of a curve with back walls, and back walls are a little bit different. The only difference between the sides and a back wall that's coming at you is that when you guys bait, you guys need to be thinking about which way the curve is going. So for example, if the path is going to turn right, in this instance, it's going right. We need to basically bait that left wall with the floor, knowing that we don't have anything to the right to bait. So all we have to do is sidestep out, bait that wall, bait the floor. And before we continue on, we need to make sure we run just a little bit out and bait away from the wall so we can activate the back spike. Once that's done, you have just mere moments to then get to the right and then actually start baiting this other direction. So I'm going to go ahead and take you guys through it to show you guys exactly properly how you can do this. We can do it again by using this method. And take note, you see how I am turning my character every now and then just to look that way? Here we go. We're going to bait. And then there you go. There's a couple ways that you can get killed by doing that method. If you were to try the method I just tried, which is the sidestep method, sometimes you can sidestep too far over and not get away fast enough. Others, you can churn and you can run at it and try to back up, and sometimes that doesn't work. So I'm going to show you the method I always use that works well for me every time. I always like to use this method, which is the run and churn method. And notice how we get away just very quickly from the trap. Again, I will show you again, but this time we're going to go facing out, meaning we're going to go left this time. So I'm going to show you on the back side what it'll look like. So we're going to go ahead and bait these. Bait those. And notice how I've already died. You're going to die every time if you're not quick enough. So we're going to do it again. We're going to see, or we're going to prove, can it be done doing a quick walk over and get away. So there it is. How far do we need to be away from that spike before it activates? As in, how close do we need to be? So let's go ahead and measure that distance. We're going to wait till this back spike activates. We're going to bait this one and then sidestep over. So pretty much, guys, it's about right there if we've noticed. If I put my right foot a little bit where that cog, where that little bit of a nut is, that nut bolt is. So let's get my cursor and I will show you guys again just literally where that spot is with my cursor. Right here, guys, when your foot reaches that screw, you need to be already away from that trap. You need to be away from that because it'll connect. So I assume that it's going to be where that first spike is. Where this spike is, where my crosshair is pointing, that's where we need to get our foot, and that's where we need to get away. As you can see, the trap is now activated. I put barely a little bit of my foot into that range, and the trap has now activated. So again, when you bait it, you want to step over, step out of the way. That's all we need to do. So this is your distance, guys. That spike. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 6 spikes here. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 6. So each one of these floored ones for every little tile, 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles, has 6 spikes. The spike that's right in this range. Now, when you're doing the other side, like, does it really matter? So, like, for the back one over here, when is it going to go off? So let's just switch it up here. Let's go over here to this side, bait that. And again, it looks like right there, guys, right there on that spike. That's where that's where the back one's going to trigger. So we're going to bait it again, step out, and see how it's already got me. Again, pay attention to where it's connecting, and then that's where you need to learn where to dodge. So again, it all comes down to you, what you feel comfortable with. Do you feel comfortable using this method all the time, or do you guys prefer to use this method? So let's go ahead and try that again. Let's try the bait method. And there you have it. Now, a lot of you guys are probably going to have some time where you're going to struggle with that method. All these methods work. Don't get me wrong. Every method works. It just comes down to you, your sensitivity, your mouse, or your analog stick, whatever your sensitivity is. I will go ahead and take a second and I'll show you guys my sensitivity for my mouse. I'm currently using 8.5% on my X and my Y axis for my sensitivity. I'm not using anything else other than that. I'm not using anything for my decibels per second as well. So yeah, that's pretty much all I'm using. So I fine-tune my settings, guys, pretty much so that when I do this, I have a nice, clean little rotation I can use. And I can bait just about every single trap using this motion. So that's going to be it for this part. Moving on to number 6. Number 6, guys, again, very simple. Just simply bait, move out of the way, bait, and move out of the way. Very simple, right? Now we're going to come right here and be on the final stage. The final stage, guys, is very, very simple. All you need to do is know how to bait the traps as you did before, but with a twist: the ceiling. The ceiling is the hardest part in the game, guys. The ceiling is always going to activate first. Let me repeat this, and let me simplify this. The ceiling traps will always activate no matter where you are. They will activate first. So if you are right on that line, the moment your body, your limb, your arm, your foot, any part of your body reaches that part of the trap, where my cursor is, guys, that doesn't mean that little grayish line inside the line itself. I'm talking about the actual trap line itself. So if the trap is right here, guys, and you put your foot right to the ledge of that, so let's go ahead and do a demonstration. Notice how my toes are right there on the board right now. It's right here on the side of that line. Notice how it's still now nice and crisp. It's worked right on that line. I still haven't activated the trap yet. When's the trap going to activate? Dead. The moment your foot, your limb enters the tile range. This tile, guys, is this tile. This brand new tile. Wherever this line is, wherever that tile is, that's where that trap is going to activate. That trap is always going to activate first. It's always going to activate first. That means top, sides, bottom. That's the thing. That's what you guys got to remember in your mind. Top, the side, the bottom. So we've already learned the back spikes. You already understand now the side spikes and the floor spikes. Now it's a question of how to bait the ceiling. So again, you can use a nice clean little walk up and step away, and notice how it baits. Again, a lot of people like to use that method. The method I was just showing you guys is a lot of people's favorite methods to use. I truthfully don't recommend that method. Now, here's another method we can use. We can also use the side step out. We can try to go with this method. And note, sometimes it'll catch you. It's not always the most reliable method. The side one only really works well when you have the sides and the floor and nothing really above. I'm going to show you guys the one that I favor all the time. It's the one that I've practiced. It's the one that I understand the most. If you guys want to do this one, which is the run, turn really quickly, and bait, and just keep a nice clean motion going, you guys can pretty much 100% of the time bait all the traps and always reach your objective. That is it, guys. That is how you're supposed to do those. Again, I hope all this information is useful for you guys, because I know it took a lot of time for me to learn where everything was in the game. When I first started out, I had to figure out how to do all this on my own. I never actually knew that you could jump over this. I had to find that out later on when I, about a month ago, I saw some girl doing that, and I was actually like, wait, how did she? And then I had to practice really quickly and figure out where that line was, and then I learned it. So it all comes down to you guys. You guys need to figure out every method that was displayed here today, and then practice completing every single one of those tasks. Once you guys truly understand where each and every one of these will activate and when they activate, you guys will truly be ready for spike tunnels within Deathruns. I would say give yourself some time, some practice time. Go to your own creative mode or go to a course, and instead of trying to actually beat the course, just practice on that course. Just practice a little bit of time. Take some time and learn how to do these until you perfectly have them down. Once you guys perfectly have every one of these things down, then you'll be truly ready to be able to take on like spike tunnels and stuff like that in the future. Almost a flawless run. And there we have it again, guys. So this was a very easy course that I designed. I only designed it, guys, so that people could understand how to do these perfectly. Okay, guys, so yeah, that's basically gonna be it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you guys all learned something new about how to complete Deathruns. I will be making some more Deathrun videos based on some other stuff in the future. If you guys would really like to see how to do other types of Deathrun, you know, unique stages in terms of impulses, speed runs. When I say speed runs, I'm talking momentum speed, meaning you're using momentum speed to run super fast throughout a course, completing different stages, learning how to do different unique stuff so that when you get to a Deathrun in the future, that you'll figure out how to properly do them. Just, you know, shoot me a comment down in the description below of my video, and I will gladly explain to you guys how to do those, or I can gladly make new maps to show and demonstrate and teach you guys all about how to do these Deathruns properly so that you can become a better Deathrunner yourself. And that's going to be all, guys. Thank you for watching. If you made it to the end of the video, please leave a thumbs up, a like, a comment down in the description below. It helps out the channel. And as always, I'll see y'all in the next one. And until then, peace out and game on, guys.